feel better.
Spin, spin, spin the globe. It's your turn to spin the globe.
A&E's look at George Foreman continues on Biography. 24-year-old George Foreman had struggled through poverty to become heavyweight champion of the world in 1973. He was now richer and more famous than he had ever imagined.
His dream as a young boy, as far as wealth was concerned, was to have $1,500, he said $1,500, in my hand at one time.
Reality far exceeded George's dreams. Now he was making and spending lots of money. He bought his mother a house, paid for his brother Roy to go to college, and purchased exotic animals and dogs that cost thousands of dollars. He could also afford to indulge in his taste for fast women and fancy cars. Suddenly there was nothing the once poor boy who didn't have enough to eat could not afford to buy. In the boxing ring, George was riding a wave of success, defending his title against Joe Roman in Tokyo and Ken Norton in Venezuela. It was in his private life that he had problems. George's first priority was his career, and he trained in California. But Adrian had a career of her own in Minneapolis, and the family lived apart. He tried to combine boxing with fatherhood, summoning his daughter at his convenience.
I was beginning to feel like an employee. I really was. Like he said, bring the baby to me. Now he's not coming to the airport.
She also correctly suspected that there were other women in George's life and became resentful. And he imagined other men in hers and would arrive at Adrian's house unannounced.
He tore up the whole house. He has this gun out, and he took the phone bill because he wanted to see who I had been talking to long distance, and that was a time when I was afraid of him.
George never laid a hand on Adrian, but the marriage was past reconciliation, and in 1974 it ended in divorce.
I didn't get married to divorce. We just didn't get along because we were both very forceful people. It was a real devastating, it was very, very hard for me.
George's fortune, on the other hand, took a gigantic leap when he signed an unprecedented $5 million deal to fight Muhammad Ali in Zaire. Everything was going George's way. The 25-year-old champion seemed to have it all, but soon he would learn what it meant to be devastated. In the fall of 1974, George Foreman arrived in Zaire with a Bible in his suitcase for good luck. The newly independent country had outlawed Western names and Western clothes and glorified African authenticity. George looked forward to finding his roots.
I think we were all searching for something. I thought that I would even find it again in Africa, find what I was searching for.
George was the reigning heavyweight title holder, but his challenger and the former champion Muhammad Ali was the attention getter. Ali at 32 was past his prime as a boxer, but he had become a cultural phenomenon. As a young man, he had shed his so-called slave name, Clay, to become Muhammad Ali, a Muslim. His reputation had grown legendary when he refused the draft and was stripped of his heavyweight title. So it was no surprise that he was the focus of the press.
But I do predict I'll be twice as fast.
And the favorite of the people of Zaire.
5 times to 1, I'll completely outclass him.
He went around to all the people in Zaire and told them, I'm the greatest, I did this, I'm the greatest, George is nothing.
And there were rumors that Ali was paying witch doctors to put curses on George. So George was uncomfortable. He was suspicious that everyone was trying to do something to destroy him. He wouldn't even talk to me.
George surrounded himself with Zairean secret police and became deeply distrustful and uncommunicative. But Ali kept talking.
After 8 good rounds, it'll be obvious that he's dead tired.
Everyone knew that Ali was a skillful fighter, but many worried that he would crumble under Foreman's fearsome fists.
People were really, really afraid of what was going to happen in that fight. There were people literally fearing for Ali's life.
The big day was October 30th, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, scheduled for the convenience of American viewers, the bout for the heavyweight title was about to begin. Foreman came out meaning business and threw punch after punch. Few landed due to the brand new rope-a-dope technique that Muhammad Ali invented. He leaned back on the ropes to conserve his energy, while George kept throwing 6 punches for every one of Ali's.
He hit him once in the middle of the forehead, and Ali's eyes rolled like that, like they were slot machines. He went tick, 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 tick. You thought money'd start coming out of his mouth, you know? But that was the most he ever hit him.
George was getting frustrated and tired. In the 8th round, he found himself where he had never been before, on the canvas.
Foreman down. This is almost incredible.
It seemed like witchcraft.
Get up. Too late. It's over.
The fight was over. Against all expectations, Muhammad Ali had taken the title from the much younger George Foreman.
George should have beat Ali if he listened, but he didn't listen. He wanted to destroy Ali like a hoodlum in the street. He reverted back.
It was the first defeat in George's professional career. He did not take it well.
George wouldn't admit to himself that he lost. He thought that he was still the champion of the world. And he kept saying, I'm still the champion. I don't think I lost. Well, George lost.
Defeat threw him into a depression, and he became meaner than ever.
By knowing George, yeah, it hurt him real good because he don't like losing. He don't like losing because he puts too much into winning.
Winning is everything, and losing is absolutely nothing. And when I say nothing, there has to be a word to even go deeper than nothing, but I don't think so. Absolutely nothing. It devastated my whole life from top to bottom. It was hard even to sleep. You think I'm not even a man anymore.
If George could not call himself champion, he did not know who he was.
I got the impression George was just spiraling out of control. He had no base. He had no focus. He had no, if you will, guiding point on his own personal compass. He was out of control.
George seemed bent on persuading himself and the world that he was still a winner by conquering a lot of women. But he already had too many women in his life. Even before the divorce from Adrian, there was a pregnant girlfriend, and soon after, yet another woman and another child. His shaky sense of identity was given another jolt when he learned why his siblings had called him Moorhead. Leroy Moorhead, a World War II veteran, was his biological father. George was 27 when they met, just 2 years before Leroy's death in 1978.
I pursued and found him. I really did. But I never found the love that I had in J.D. Foreman.
He did not develop a strong relationship with his biological father and struggled with who he really was. George was more depressed than ever, and the only thing that kept him going was his longing to be a winner again.
Nothing would cure me. The only thing that would cure me is if I would become heavyweight champ of the world again.
George is claiming the heavyweight crown.
He would get very close to a shot at the heavyweight title, but then events took a turn that nobody, not even George, had ever expected.
Biography's look at George Foreman will continue. But first, Biofeedback asks, who was the greatest boxer of all time? Visit biography.com and tell us what you think.